I'm Scott Traylor. He's Kirk Elliott. We're in the McCarthy Auto Group studio. Don't forget to shop McCarthy at shopmccarthy.com. Joining us now is a longtime friend of the RacinBoys, Justin Allgaier, who picked up a nice finish last weekend. Justin, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are you today?
I'm doing good, man. Not bad. Not a bad weekend for you.
No, not at all. You know, it's obviously kind of leading into Talladega and qualifying for the Xfinity Series Dash for Cash, and to get a top three out of it. We led a lot of laps, and unfortunately just didn't have what we needed at the end of the race, but still a good solid day, and like I said, you know, put us in a great opportunity to go for Dash for Cash this weekend.
Yeah. Hey, Justin, you know, I was talking a little bit to you before we went on the air, and you are just so steady. It seems like, you know, a lot of drivers have real big peaks and valleys, and you're always right there in the middle of it every week, every year for the last 10 years, man. Isn't that remarkable that you're able to be consistent like that for all these years?
Well, I've been very lucky. You know, there's definitely been the ups and downs in my career, but I do feel like that one of the cool things for me is that I've been surrounded with great people and been able to put myself in position and have the finishes that we've had, you know, solely based on that. And you know, I think these races come down to perseverance and not giving up and being there at the end, and we've been very lucky to have that opportunity. And, you know, even if the finish doesn't go the way that you want it to, I feel like we've run really well at a lot of these tracks, and you know, have been able to kind of adapt to different types of racing styles, and that's definitely helped. I mean, I think that's probably the only thing that's kept me in this sport for the number of years that I've been lucky enough to be a part of it, and hopefully many more years to come.
It's really about enthusiasm, isn't it? Keeping the enthusiasm, chasing the dream, knowing what the goals are.
Well, 100%. I mean, when I first started racing when I was 5 years old, you know, you can only dream of hopefully one day having the opportunity to go to the top levels of NASCAR. Mm-hmm. But very, very few people have that opportunity to make that dream into a reality, and I don't want to waste that opportunity. You know, I've been very lucky to have a lot of great people and supporters that have helped me, you know, get to this position that I'm in today, and you know, I want to make the most of it. And so
Right.
your mindset, your attitude, even when you have a down day, you know, instead of getting frustrated that you know things could have gone better, which we all do, and you know,
Sure.
the other side of that coin is that, you know, I could be sitting at home on the couch watching it on TV and wishing that I was even there being a part of it. So,
Yeah.
you know, you definitely have to take the positives and try to feed those into the negatives.
I know how positive an influence your dad has had on your life and what you do and your goals and what you're trying to achieve. But outside of your dad, who's the number one person that you lean on when you have those moments when you feel like, man, this is a bummer of a day, but I got to keep the enthusiasm? Who's that one person that you lean on the most? I know your relationship with your dad, but I'm thinking outside of him.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because I've had a great relationship with my dad, and he is a great role model and supporter of my career.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the other person, my wife. You know, my wife is funny because she's not a cheerleader by any means. She's the type that will tell you exactly what you're doing wrong,
Good or bad.
Which for me has honestly been a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like sometimes, you know, you get caught up in a lot of people tend to surround themselves, especially in the sport, of people that are
Yes,
positive
man.
influencers, even when you're doing things that you shouldn't be doing, right?
Right. Yeah.
And my wife has been the one that's kind of been the voice of reason. So between her and my dad, you know, I feel like I've got a really good gauge of where I stand, whether that's right, wrong, or indifferent. You know, for me, I feel like I have a pretty good barometer of where I'm at, and that makes a big difference. You know, that's from my standpoint, that's a big deal.
Hey, Justin, this is Kirk. You said you're going to Talladega this weekend. You started off the season pretty well. You didn't quite win. You finished second at Daytona. What'd you learn at Daytona that you can take into this weekend?
Well, I think Daytona and Talladega are so much the same, but so different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the driving style, the racing style is completely different. We had really fast Junior Motorsports Camaros at Daytona. Obviously, Michael and I getting the win, us finishing second. I think we had all four cars right inside the top 10 there. We ran up front all day, and so that's encouraging. You know, obviously when we go to Talladega, that's encouraging. On the flip side of it, though, we know that it's going to be all about making sure that you're in the right lane, pushing the right cars, have the right help, working with our teammates. We can't tandem draft by any means, but we can definitely be a benefit to our teammates and just hopefully put ourselves in a good position. This is a big race for us, obviously, with the Dash for Cash. What Xfinity does for the series and for this sport is really, really incredible. And so to be able to go for that extra money on top of a win is huge. But then also too, we're kind of along with that. Comcast is actually donating $120,000 to veteran services organizations located in each race market, and they're going to give $30,000 to the VFW post in Gadsden, Alabama,
Nice.
which is cool too. So having those folks at the track and being able to kind of hopefully celebrate with them in Victory Lane, that'd make for an even more fun Saturday afternoon.
Do you have a preference over one or the other, Talladega or Daytona?
I really don't. I think both races are so unique.
Mm-hmm.
Daytona is kind of the beginning, the kickoff race for us, and so there's a lot of intensity, a lot of hype. But Talladega is one of those racetracks where the atmosphere is just different. Daytona and Talladega, even though they're pretty close geographically and they're very similar in style of track, the fan base, the atmosphere is completely different between the two. Mm-hmm. And Talladega is only 0.16 bigger, but man, does it feel like you've doubled the size of the racetrack when you drive through the tunnel and you come into the racetrack for the first time. So both of them are fun, but they're their own animals in each respective right.
Hey, I got to ask you, we're all about open wheel racing around here at RacinBoys. You know that. Our broadcast with the Chili Bowl for the last 14 years and the shootout for the last several years. A lot of open wheel guys working their way up through the ranks, Christopher Bell being one of those guys. You see a lot of guys that have came from the open wheel ranks, but you were really one of the first guys, not one of the, the very first, but you're one of the first wave of open wheel guys that had a lot of success at that level. Do you guys interact with each other? Do you talk to each other? Is it still an open wheel community within the Xfinity garage?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that it's funny because you look at where the backgrounds and where guys come from, whether that's
Mm-hmm.
geographically or driving style. I would say that right now the dirt racing community in general has a lot of conversing at the racetrack. We're all kind of hanging out and talking to each other. We talk a lot about what's happening around the country and what's going on with the racing and who's winning. And I think that the grassroots style of racing right now is become such a big deal. And we all are looking at, okay, who's the young guys that are coming up or the guys that are talented enough to have that opportunity and put themselves in the right position. And it's crazy because the talent level right now of guys that are coming up, especially through the open wheel ranks, is just incredible. And if they want to make that transition over towards the NASCAR side, I'd say there's quite a few of them that could very easily have a successful career in NASCAR. But on the flip side of it, a lot of them, it's funny to watch because a lot of them are very content with the open wheel side of things, and that's where they want to be at. And I applaud that 100%. I think that's watching it's really impressive to kind of see the path that a lot of guys take. And like I said, there's a lot of guys that are capable of putting themselves in that position, and it's fun to watch right now.
If you don't mind me asking, when a young guy comes up to you and wants to get some advice from you, what's the number one thing that you try to tell somebody when they're getting into the heavy car industry?
Well, I think that the transition is probably the toughest part. I tend to get on iRacing a lot and run as many laps as I can. I do sneak back into a midget quite often or a sprint car quite often to make laps into it. But I think getting laps and just getting that visual aspect of it for sure is a big deal. And then I think that once you go from there, watching video, watching as much video and broadcast footage as you can to see what's happened over the years, how guys how they do well, but also how they have their challenges, when they crash, what happened, what caused it, and kind of making sure you understand all the pieces of the puzzle before you get there. But then the next part is probably the best advice I got was from Tony Stewart. His answer was find a level that you can win at and win as much as you can win. And if you're winning races, somebody's going to help you get to that next level. And when you get to that next level, go win more races. And ultimately, if you keep doing that and you keep putting yourself in good position, you'll have an opportunity to go to whatever level you want to go to and be successful at it.
It's much better to win at the Xfinity level than just ride around at the Cup level.
I've been on the Cup side, and I don't get me wrong, I loved what I did, but I wasn't in a position to be in a car that was capable of winning a race.
Right.
And to be honest with you, I wouldn't go back to that scenario. I'm a competitor and a racer, and we're all trained to want to go out there and win every week. And I've got a great home at Junior Motorsports that provides cars that you can go win with. And I have no interest in going back to the Cup side just to be another car in the field. There's plenty of space available for everybody.
Right.
And I want to be in a position where I can go try to win races.
iRacing versus the real thing. For those that's never been in the real thing and they race the simulators, what's the big difference that those that's not been in the real car would need to know?
Well, I think that there's a way. I mean, I think there's always ways you can cheat when it comes to simulation style racing. No matter what platform you're on, I think you tend to be able to have a little bit more grip in a simulation style, and you can be more aggressive with certain things that would be of greater detriment on the racetrack. But on the flip side of that, I feel like visually the cues are so similar that as long as you're a visual racer and not a feel racer, I think it's as close as you can possibly get. Now, if you're a feel racer, which me growing up kind of the old school way, I'm definitely more on the feel side of things. It's harder to get that, but you still have a great opportunity to learn that in real world application. When you get on something like that, I think that to me has been as close as you can possibly get.
Well, I will say from my experience, only 4 years in an ARCA car, that I was amazed on how guys could hit their mark lap after lap after lap, coming off the corners, hitting their spot, getting into the corner. It's amazing, to be honest with you. I wasn't quite that good at it, just so you know. But that's been a long time ago that you were running those ARCA cars. I think it was 2003 back in those days, and a lot of good times back then. Well, listen, Justin, we're always pulling for you, bud. You're one of our guys. You're an open wheel guy, and we're always going to be rooting for you. Good luck to you this weekend down there at Talladega. We'll be pulling for you. All right, bud?
Sounds good, buddy. Thank you very much.